you saying?
Yeah, he'll have surgery and he'll be out for several months.
You expect him back this season?
I'm not going to rule anything out, but he'll be out several months.
What stands out to you about the Jets defense, and what have you thought about Sauce Gardner? I'm sure you probably saw him play a little bit at Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think they're really solid. They play really hard. They're well coached. And obviously they did some good things against us last year. I think that they've, the first two opponents we're well aware of, the two teams they've played early on. But I think that they've done a good job. They're a tough team. They're going to make you earn every inch. They play really well together, all 11 guys, whoever's on the field. They're well coordinated. And, it's just one of those difficult defenses because of how sound that they are.
I guess the surgery will be on the right knee, correct?
It'll be on the injured knee, yeah.
How do you approach the replacement there? Obviously, the guy is valuable in a lot of different ways for you. How do you patch that up?
Well, we added Devin Asiasi at the cut down, and so now he comes up and bubbles into a role to play. So you've got Mitch, Devin, Hayden, obviously. So those three guys will make up that room for the time being. And all three of those guys have done a nice job. I thought Mitch came in last week and did some really good things. Despite not getting all the reps in practice, he stepped in there and did a nice job. Hayden's obviously been really good for us this year. Now we get a chance to look at Devin a little bit.
What do you lose in Drew? I mean, what is the hard part for the players there?
Yeah, Drew's just one of those tough, smart football players. He's what we want to be about. There's just so many little nuances. Sure, you coach him. James coaches his tail off, to get those guys ready. But James is one of those. Drew's one of those guys that really sees it from a coach's mindset. He really has a clear understanding. I'm not gonna say it comes easy to him because he really works at it. It's really physical. He's blocked some big time guys at times on some key plays we've had over the last couple of years, and just a reliable guy. So yeah, it hurts to lose a guy like Drew because he's just worked so hard to put himself in a position to really help this team, and it's unfortunate when something like this happens, but it's football, and he's had a great attitude about it.
With the, I guess you'll have for open roster spot. Do you know what you plan on doing with that?
Yeah, not yet.
Zach, Brian said on Monday that with the offensive line, you're trying to find out what those guys can do best, maybe in the run game and run blocking. Did you find some of that in the second half against Dallas, and are you still trying to pick your way through some of that?
Yeah, I think there's been some really good things from these last two games as we get the season started. And it's as simple as just we need to start faster as a team to give ourselves a better opportunity to go into the game and execute the things that we want to execute, win a tighter game or with a lead. And so waiting until the second half to come back from behind. Because then you get a much better chance to really get a feel for what you have. But I've been really encouraged by all five of those guys. I think the chemistry is really coming along with them. And so it's really a fun group to be around, and really got a lot of faith in those guys.
Zach, how much can the running game help them overall, the offensive line group, when it gets going? Right? Does it help them in terms of getting a sense of being more physical? Simple as that?
Well, I think you can impose your will a little bit when you're coming downhill and attacking people in the run game. It's also as you get a lead and you feel the defense start to wear down, that's where, yeah, sure, the offense is getting worn out as well, but their confidence continues to spike as they see what it's doing to the other team. And that's where a lot of the big runs end up popping, when you got a lead later in the game and you're really grinding on a team. So there's a lot of things that, again, in this early part of the season, we look forward to getting an opportunity to showcase some of that.
You mentioned you've seen seen some good things in the first two games.
Yeah.
Wearing down of defense, have you seen that in the first two games in the second half where you're starting to get these defenses tired and you're able to pop bigger plays?
We had several scoring drives in the second half against Dallas, several scoring drives in the second half against Pittsburgh. I thought we ended the game well against Pittsburgh, driving down the field, and unfortunately we had the field goal. Then against Dallas, we had the long drive that put us in a position to tie the game. So I think to your point, there's been some really good things later in the game as our guys have they're in really good shape. That shows, as they sustain 95 plays, I think that first week, and then a difficult road game. That was a pretty tight game last week. So I'm encouraged about the progress that they're making.
How would you describe Burrow, or how would you evaluate Burrow through two games?
I think as a unit, we just need to continue to improve and score more points.
Are Asiasi's strengths similar to Drew's?
We'll find that out. Those are things that we saw in tape as we evaluated him coming out of UCLA. We obviously watched his tape from New England before we claimed him. He's a big, strong guy. I think he brings something to the passing game as well. He's shown the ability to separate. Seems smart just in our dealing with him for the last 2.5 weeks or whatever it's been. So there's a lot of positive things that we liked about him, which is why we claimed him. I've seen those things as we've been around him. And so now I'm just excited to see him get an opportunity and what he can do when he's got that opportunity in our system.
On that last, the long touchdown drive you had 2 plays where Burrow gets outside the pocket, extends plays, finds guys. Can you describe the importance of those plays and keeping the offense efficient and productive and everything you want to be?
That's part of a play caller's dream, is when a guy can take a play that's off schedule, or maybe not guys aren't open versus a certain defense, and he can make a play when there's not a play to be made. I think Joe does a really good job of that, and gives us a spark, whether he's just taking off with his feet and getting a first down, or finding T in that case, on that play. It's those are things that he brings to the table that are unique to Joe.
He's been scrambling a lot more, I guess, in the postseason. We saw it in this year as well. Do you feel like at some point that's something that defenses might have to start accounting for that, and that could change kind of the way you are able to call offenses with how much he does scramble?
Just spying him, you mean?
Yeah, just committing a guy to.
They could.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could. Yeah.
You're stressing starting faster. Would a potential way to do that be if you get the chance to start with the ball in offense, or are you always one that wants to defer?
No, I think you're open to anything, and those are always things that we'll talk through, and it's when you win the coin toss like we do, we've deferred because we always win the coin toss, of course. But those are just things that you got to talk about. You got to address the situation and find a way to give this team a spark early in the game, and we just haven't done a good enough job of that.
It seems like that's the overall for most coaches, they choose to defer. Is that solely because you get the chance to double dip at the end?
Yeah, that's the primary reason. You get a chance to get the ball at the end of the half, score points, gain the momentum in the half, then come out and do it again, and create a 2-score advantage there.
After 2 weeks, Joe Mixon's got the most carries in the NFL, so it's not like you haven't been trying. It's just a consistency issue, I guess, in that running game.
Well, there's been good things in the running game. I'm not going to sit here and say that it hasn't been great. There's opportunities. There are times when you're going to get more single high looks as teams are stressed against you, where those runs pop for bigger gains, as opposed to, I know it's a softer box when teams play Tampa too, but it's a little bit more difficult to get those explosive runs where there's just a lot of great things that can happen when you can score early and play with a lead. And so we look forward to putting our best foot forward and trying to experience that in the near future.
The one word, and not that it's not always an emphasis, but the one word we've heard over and over the last couple of days is execution. Why has the execution in your mind not been there the first couple of weeks, and do you think that's the biggest line between where you're at and where you can be?
No, I wouldn't say that the execution has not been there. I think, we try not to overreact to the fact that if one play went different the first game, one play went different the second game, we're 2-0 and we're the same football team with the same execution, positives and negatives. But the easiest thing to point to is those plays that each guy could have had that maybe would have made a difference in the game, the calls that we could have made that would have made a difference in the game. And so at the end of the day, we just got to continue to grow as a team every single week as the season goes. And on our end, not overreact to how the early part has gone. We're still in the early phase here for a couple more weeks. We're still going to continue to grow as a team and learn from this adversity. And so I think that's the encouraging thing, is our guys have all embraced that and willing to tweak anything that needs to be tweaked, willing to be hard on themselves, willing to be coached. And I feel very comfortable about the direction this team's headed.
What's the biggest key to getting the intermediate passing game kind of maybe back to where it was last year? I just think we need to do a better job of finding a rhythm early in the game to play with the lead. And then that's going to help the entirety of our offense.
So what do you think of Flacco? When you look at Flacco, what you see, you were probably in junior high when he made his debut. He's been around a while.
He's younger than me by a year, okay? So I think I graduated in 06. I think he graduated from Delaware in 07, if I'm not mistaken. So I got him. He's younger than me. I see a guy who's won a Super Bowl. I see a guy who's seen everything. He plays with a lot of confidence, plays with a lot of poise, plays on time. He can make any throw that there is to be made in all football. He can still do that. Their team's probably got a lot of confidence in him because he's been there, done that. He's in a bit of a flow, played these last 2 games, and you look particularly at the end of that game, man, he was in great rhythm, throwing on time. So you can see that the skill guys have a lot of trust in him. I think Mike does a great job putting those guys in position. So he's a really good quarterback, and he's on a 1-game winning streak, and he had a big part in that.
Coach, what do you think about his, it looks like he can still get it downfield.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think there's any concerns about his arm strength right now. Not from me. I can promise you that.
In the offseason, the Jets get CJ, you get Hayden. From your perspective, how does the skill set of the tight end you have impact just the overall way the offense works, since so many tight ends have so many different skill sets?
I don't think it necessarily impacts the way we design the offense. Gives you another option, to feature him a little bit more, make him a primary, but it's still the same stuff we've done in the past. It just gives you a couple different looks, but I think Hayden's done a really good job when his number's called, making the most of it.
As a play caller, is there anything you maybe wish you would have done a little bit differently in the first couple games when you go back and look at things? Is there something that maybe jumps out when you look at the tape?
We look at everything all the time just to make sure we're not missing something. Sometimes you feel really good about it and it doesn't work out, and then the first person I look back on is myself to see, okay, what should I have done differently to help put us in a better position, communicate a little better. So again, we'll continue to evaluate that, and we're not opposed to tweaking anything in my personal process as I get ready for a game or in our units. We got to do whatever we can to give our team a little spark and start faster.
What does that entail when you say tweaking things?
Everything, just the way I go about my Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, Sunday morning process, conversations you have with coaches, players. I'm pretty open about all that stuff.
A lot of coaches tend to be, sometimes we can be rigid about those things. Why has that not been the case for you? Why do you feel like it's good to be flexible in those situations?
I just try to be myself. I can't speak for everybody else, but I think that's important. We ask that of our players. We ask that of our coaches. Just because you've done something the way you've done it for 4 years or 20 years doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. Just try to be open to the process of evolving and doing whatever we can to help this 2020 team in week 3, and not worry about what you did for the 2020 team in week 16. It's all that stuff. It's different. And so again, you got to be ready to evolve if needed.
How patient are you when you constantly are behind the sticks like you were in Dallas, of staying with your game plan? How patient do you think you are?
I think on the normal downs, relatively patient, sticking with the plan. It's, when you're in the get back and track situations, the second and 9 plus, you're into a different part of the call sheet because you're not looking for an efficient run at that point to put you in 3rd and 8. You're trying to get a little bit more than that. So it changes. When you're behind the sticks, you have a 1st and 15, or you have a get back on track, 2nd down. You're now in a different part of your plan, a plan you were hoping that you weren't going to use as much as we have the last 2 weeks.
When you're in that process of contemplating, what do I need to change, anything during the week, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, coaching staff, feedback, player leadership, feedback, you kind of reach out to everybody?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, anything. I think we have a group of captains, like I told them, they've earned it. They were voted in. I got a lot of trust in them because of how they go about their business. And so when we're in those meetings, I want feedback. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes a week goes by and you don't. But I want to hear that from players who've been in this league, been on other teams, been on this team for a while. They work their tails off. Any feedback they can give. Those have been really positive conversations. There's nothing earth-shattering there. But that's why we do that, so we can hear that. Same with the coaches. I think I've been around these coaches long enough. They know they can be honest and blunt, and we'll take it the right way.
About an hour ago, Joe sat up there and said, relax, and that we're going to be fine. When your quarterback has that message and isn't panicking after 0-2, how much does that help you with that message, given that you can't panic either?
Well, he sees it for what it is. It's easy for us to all understand that, and it's easy to sit up here and just feel the questioning after 2 games of you sense panic from others, and that's just not what's happening for us. So I think sometimes it's the easiest thing to say, just to tell everybody to calm down. We're okay. We're a good football team. We'll get to where we need to be, and it's just about going and having a great Wednesday. That's really what we are focused on today, having tremendous energy, understanding the plan, asking questions of the plan, going out there and having our best Wednesday we can possibly have to put ourselves in a great position to go have a great Thursday and continue to piggyback on that and just gain some momentum, find our first win, and then take a deep breath and continue to get the ball rolling.
Is that maybe part of the process of now having a lot of expectations? As the first first year that y'all really have had that now, because
Sure. And that's a great thing. It's we've been begging for expectations. We've been begging for high standards, and now they're here. And this is part of it. When you start out slower than what you hoped and what people anticipated, then you're going to deal with that. And I love it. I love the amount of people that are in this room right now. That's great. I love that fans in the city expect more. I would hope. That's awesome. And so now it's just our job to continue to put our head down and not worry about all the things you deal with, the line of questioning or people, whatever you're out, which us as coaches, we're not out, but I'm sure the players deal with it, and just focusing on what you can control. That's all that matters. And again, at the end of the day, we know that we have a good football team and that we're going to get back on track and we'll be in good shape and everyone can relax.
Joe said he hasn't listened to any criticism because he deleted his social media. How grateful are you that your kids aren't at the age where they
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Very grateful. Yeah, it is. Yeah, they feel the stress for sure, whether they have social media or not. So I'm very, very, very thankful they don't have it yet. Maybe they do, and I just don't know.
On the 2-point conversion last week, Samaje did a great job of
Oh,
blocking.
God.
Parsons.
Yeah.
How good is he as a blocker, and
Yeah.
how valuable is that in your offense?
Oh, that's critical. You're not. That's not why you call the play to match up a running back on Micah Parsons. I promise you that. A guy can line up on the left side the entirety of the drive, and then all of a sudden be on the right. And you just got to call the protection the way you want to call it. Trying to help everybody there, and just the way it worked out. He lined up outside Samaje, and Samaje did a great job holding him off, refitting his hands. So that's just what a veteran player like him brings to the table. Samaje did not practice that. That was Drew Sample and Hayden. And so Samaje gets thrown into the fire. He's got to at halftime learn the O2 package and do a good job executing a unique play down there in the goal line that was really just meant for inside the 3. And steps up, does it. Initially maybe lined up wrong, but got it fixed, tightened down. I was a little concerned there for a moment. Lines up right and then just blocks his tail off for 5 seconds or whatever it seemed like and allowed for us to tie the game.
How about Boyd's route on that? Boyd's route seemed to be really good.
Really good. It's yeah, I agree. It's a compliment. He had a one-on-one. It's a compliment to some things that we do. It's the same route we ran against Kansas City here on 4th down where they got called for the defensive holding. So
I guess that's an option route. Would that be an option route?
I wouldn't phrase it as an option route, but no, he doesn't have the option. He's running the route that we call in that case. We run plenty of option routes, but that wasn't one. That was just more of a compliment to a through route, and he was going to pull back. And we played the game last year. They just tackled him. This time he got better separation and it was open.
You said that's not how you draw it up, but that Samaje did practice that.
Yeah.
Not how it's, does your stomach drop a little bit when you see it shake out like that?
No, no, because ultimately he's got help. The other guy didn't engage Hayden, so he knows he's got inside help there in the C gap, and Hayden's just kind of keeping an eye on this. I think it was the safety there that was right over the top of him, but ultimately he's going to have help. Had he gone inside, so guys understand where they got help. Where that you don't want to lose, where you can lose, and I think that's where Samaje is just kind of a piece of the puzzle that you can plug in there, and he's got a good understanding of what we're trying to accomplish. He goes into walkthroughs that he's not really a part of in that sense, knowing that this could be me. He probably wasn't focused on that low red zone clip, more 3rd down, because we use that a lot in 3rd down. Drew did a great job during the game, but just Samaje is one of those pros, man. He's our definition of a Bengal, and that's why he's around, and that's why he does a great job stepping in when he needs to and making a critical play in the game.
Dax Hill's role, has that just been a result of game situation?
Yeah, that can change every week. And like I said, it's a good thing that we have the depth that we have. We got a lot of people that we can use in a lot of different ways. We got linebackers that we can utilize for different reasons. We've got Trey Flowers that fits in there as well, Dax Hill. Dax is doing nothing but working hard and nothing but earning our confidence, and his opportunity just hasn't come in a big way yet. But, we continue to put him in packages. Those packages, some games will be bigger than others. All the confidence in the world that he can go out there and do a great job. And so it's no reflection on anything that's happening. It's a reflection on us having some really good players and good depth and just continuing to find roles for everybody.
Essentially the same question, but for Chris Evans. Is it just a matter of Samaje Perine and his blocking?
Yeah, same thing. We just being disciplined in all 3 phases and continuing to find roles for guys. We put him out there on a play last week, and he did a great job. He won. Jamar got the 1st down on a 3rd down. And so again, there's options. There was a good option here, good option here. we went to Jamar. He paid off for us, got the first down. Chris did a great job too. He could have gotten the ball as well. And so, again, just sometimes because they don't get the ball, it looks like their role is reduced. There's still opportunities for guys. It doesn't always work out that way where they seem as involved as maybe people perceive.
The role that Drew Sample had where he was lining up in the backfield on third down and kind of cleaning up those five-man pressures and working on Micah Parsons was a big role. When he went down with that knee injury where you're like, oh, God.
Yeah, Samaje would need to step up, and but that's just Drew. That's just the role he plays is jump in there and do whatever he's got to do to help the team protect, be successful, run routes, run block, whatever he's got to do. I think the picture I think of Drew Sample is blocking Calais Campbell last year on CJ's 60-yard touchdown or whatever it was, one-on-one for about 4 seconds, just in a phone booth fighting his tail off against, one of the biggest, best players in all football. And, so those are just the things that he doesn't get any credit for. Nobody really writes about that or talks about it. But behind the scenes for us, to know what he brings to the table in that sense is just, it's a saving grace for all of us.
Zach, you were out at the Moeller St. X game on Friday, and it wasn't just you, it was Joey Votto and Luke Fickell, Tyler Stevenson. Why make it a point to get out to a game like that, and what was it like out there?
That's one of the things I haven't done a good enough job of is just enjoying football in this community. And so that game just happened to be the one that my kids had talked about, so I took them out there. I brought Joey Bose with us, our strength coach, and I said, we're just gonna stand on the edge of the fence in the end zone, and no one will even know we're there. And showed up to buy tickets. They told us it was sold out since Tuesday. I showed up at 6:59. I said I need 9 tickets. They said we've been sold out since Tuesday. I said, okay. And then they were great, and they let us in, and saw Luke was there, and then saw a collection of our running backs were there as well, and saw those baseball players, and so. It's just a tremendous scene. It's not like this everywhere in the country. It's just not. And so, first and foremost, it's for my kids. I want them to go and enjoy it and see what high school football is about. What I remember being in 5th grade and going to the high school football games, watching Brian Hartsock play quarterback and all those guys you looked up to. And I want my kids to have that as well. But also just the scene of, man, this is a great environment. There's so much support for the Bengals and for UC and for high school football, and certainly hope as the season goes. It doesn't always work out on Friday nights, but as the season goes, I'd love to get to as many games as you can and show your support and just enjoy the scenes.
Did you think for a second they weren't going to let you in?
No, I felt good about talking my way through the situation, but no, they were great. They were great.
You referenced the play against Kansas City last year, and you referenced plays from years past. I know as coaches, you guys have a pretty good recall of everything, but do you have the same process of how many times you watch the game, whether you win or lose? Do you watch it more when you lose? Like, what is your process from watching the game? Because you've been able to recall a lot.
You watch it straight through, and then you watch it in a lot of different ways. You watch all the protections, you watch all the runs, you watch all the passes, you watch it by coverage, by situation. And that goes, over a 2-day period probably as you reference back to things. And so it's my process, might not be everybody's process, but and then you refer back to it. We look at things that we're trying to complement. So you're looking back at the Pittsburgh game and some of the details of that and try to see what other teams are studying about you and try to match it as best you can.
Everyone good?
Thank you, Zach.